Welcome back to Sun, Sand, and Soul. Josh Tongue with David Haber. Andrew was a very
He was a wow to me.
I mean, listen, I'm not from Miami originally, but it is my home now. And, having a guest like that fills me with a lot of personal pride about this city because that is a very Miami story. And I love the fact that so much of their success is driven by family and
passion.
Food and passion. I mean, you got to think restaurants have to be such a labor of love. You could see in him the combination of effort and love, right? It's like, you got to work for it.
And how close they came to failing on the first restaurant, which now has a Michelin star, and how they had to come back from the brink, and the hard work and the effort. And then the
great story about the Michelin star, right?
And then and then the joy and the success. The part that I loved the most about Andrew was the sharing of the success.
I think it's the sharing of the coupons.
And no, we're doing a crawl. We're doing a Grove crawl.
We're no obligated.
But the idea that he's put together a team, and the fact that he believes that all of the success is due to the team concept. I love that. I use that at Haber Law. That was one thing that came to me about Andrew. The second was his passion for wanting other restaurateurs to succeed in our city. And the fact that when one fails, he feels passionately that's a tragic loss. And he doesn't take any joy in any restaurant.
It's not competitive. It's not competitive.
He's not competitive. I couldn't believe when he told me he goes out to all these other people's restaurants, that's where he goes.
Well, and I got to figure,
I was shocked
to a certain degree. I mean, it may be unique to the restaurant world that way. I mean, again, I can't speak.
I know they all know each other,
right? I know it's speaking on your behalf. I don't know that you're rooting for other law firms to succeed. There's a competitive,
not the ones who try to steal my lawyers, but
right. There's a competitive quality to it. But I also understand. I mean, I think it's got to spell a future of more success when a guy like Andrew can see other restaurants of similar ilk or orientation succeeding. The point he made about saying, look, Miamians, go out and patronize local owner operators.
Well, that's like me with the law firms. I always root for the success of, I take back what I said. I root for the success of firms that are what I call mid-size firms, that are local, that grew up here, that were started here. I don't need to root for the five giant, largest firms in the country or in the world.
Right.
They don't need me.
Right.
Just like he said about Carbone, they're not going away.
Right.
Regardless
if you don't get that extra meal at Carbone, they're not closing up.
But whether it's Haber Law or the other mid-sized firms, I do want them to succeed because we're all in the same industry. Many of us are friends, and we all do well together.
Right. Right. Well, no, and I see it in the management space, right? I mean, I've been part of a startup that then got bigger and then got absorbed by an even larger firm. And, in the management end of things, as you well know, there's been an enormous amount of absorption, right? And
tremendous
conglomeration. And it's interesting from, the Blackbriar management perspective, we're reset our own table and now back to being boutique owner operators. And it's a space that we're actually, kind of lonely in. I mean, there's not a lot of that left. And I'm not saying that's the same thing for restaurants, but what is interesting is you do see a lot of the acclaim, if not buzz, around the bigger restaurant groups.
You do,
openings.
But it's interesting that when they brought Michelin stars to South Florida, there are these hole in the walls that are getting Michelin stars and Bib Gourmand, and they're getting press in the Herald. And I like that. And I think Andrew was passionate about people getting outside their comfort zone and trying new local restaurants.
Yep.
He was very passionate, and not just his, other people's.
Right.
I love the idea that he is really rooting for everyone.
Right. I thought his point about partnering with landlords was one of the coolest points of the whole interview, because I think a lot of us who are not in that business don't think about that as being
I never thought
a
about
critical
that.
linkage in your restaurant, is saying it's not just you're not just
I love how he said we're partners with our landlords.
He's a partner. And to say,
Yeah.
you know, in restaurants, like a lot of our businesses rely on third parties, you know, effectively as partners to
whether it's investors, whether it's the chef, whether it's your team, whether it's the landlord.
Right.
I love, you know, it takes a village.
Yep, it does.
It does at a law firm. It does in a management firm. It does at any successful company.
Right. And they have to align with that vision. Like back to the conversation about Sonny's, which, you know, has gotten, you know, so much press and so much acclaim to say, man, so much of what they are optically, and I'm not saying all the blood, sweat, and tears behind the ownership and those who are doing the cooking and the serving are not as critical, but it's like if it weren't for a certain quality of space, it would be a very different product. And it seems like in some ways it's catching lightning in a bottle. I mean, is it the right food, the right audience, the right place, the right location? When with the right landlord. Look, we're a real estate show. Location. Right. It's cliche, but I think in the case of restaurants, I mean, nothing could be more of a truism than that, right? And being like, if you're in the wrong spot, it's not going to work. And sometimes even when you're in the right spot, it's not going to work. But it certainly is a big box you got to check.
I will also say that I can't wait to go to Ariete and try the duck press, which I had no clue what a duck press was.
Well, I've had pressed duck, which is completely different. That's actually like more like, you know, like chicken under a brick, where you actually do sort of like a compressed, you know, cut of the meat.
But
this sounds like it's a very different.
And the fact that they run out every night,
right?
We're gonna have to call Andrew or Michael in advance, being the important, the really influencers that we are,
people that we are,
right?
Yes.
And we're gonna have to say, look, you better save 4 duck presses.
Well, here's our commitment: when we have our duck presses, we will post the pictures of us enjoying them online.
There you go. I like that.
We will definitely give them another shout out. In the meantime, David, great way to kick off our season. Great guest. Looking forward to more of the same. And I'm really glad to see you back in the studio. And I also got to turn to my left here and give a shout out to Abraham. Our stalwart engineer who is always there making sure things are looking great. By the way, have you noticed he's looking very trim and slim, and he lost weight. He's an aerodynamic version this season.
He still has more hair than you and I could ever have.
He's got more hair than I think collectively everybody in this building has, but you know, he's looking really good. I think I'm detecting that he's moonlighting. I don't know if it's male modeling. There's something. This guy's definitely doing more. He's definitely doing more on camera.
But I'm going to say,
you couldn't lay off it, could you?
You don't want to talk about my shirt, but you know, you have to. You just have to. I have to.
I acknowledge the beauty of your. I like the whole outfit today works. So I'm just going to.
Doesn't it work? It's a Josh Tomei.
I'm going to go ahead and give you a check mark.
Come on, with the white sneakers, with the blue trim, with the beautiful shirt, with the nice jacket. Thank you to Lisa Haber for dressing me.
It looks lovely. Thanks to Lisa. Thanks to Abraham. Thanks to you, partner. It's great to be back on for the season.
It's always great to see you.
Looking forward to it.
And I will say that the fact that you took me out to dinner last night, which I really appreciate, 2 martinis and a glass of wine was too much for your lightweight friend.
He just woke up a half an hour before the show, so that's. As always, you can join us on all of your favorite social media and streaming sources, including Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. This is Josh Tomei with David Haber. Thank you for watching, listening to Sun, Sand, and Soul. We'll see you again next time.